With the Madden Ultimate Team season just around the corner, it's important to find a reliable site. Introducing MUTReserve.com. Find all your coin needs there, and while you're there, make sure to use code RENDER for 15% off. What's up guys, Render back again with another Madden video, and once again we are back at the Jets franchise loading screen. And no, I am still not rebuilding the Jets because that takes too much time and effort to rebuild such a mediocre team. Sorry Jets fans, but we know it's true. Anyways, what I wanted to do today is, the first video, Joe Burrow versus Tua Tagovailoa, did such great viewership in the first day, 13 or 14 views I think, which is phenomenal for my channel. I figured let's continue on with that, and also notice how Adam Gase is just going arms deep through his Windows iPad thing, which is great. More the reason to fix Madden franchise. My goodness, this game's broken. But nonetheless, I wanted to have a rookie simulation, not for quarterbacks this time, but for running backs. And the two guys that I want to pair up and match up against each other today are J.K. Dobbins from The Ohio State University, who now currently plays for the Baltimore Ravens, and Clyde-Edwards-Helaire, formerly from LSU and now plays for the Kansas City Chiefs. I figured these two guys are some of the most polarizing running backs in the league, aside from Jonathan Taylor and DeAndre Swift that are rookies. I'll have the videos on them obviously later on. But I wanted to see, who has the better individual season, who has more rushing yards, who has better yards per carry, who has more touchdowns, receptions, receiving yards, all of that good stuff. In addition to who has a better team record, who really contributes not only for their rookie season individually, but also produces a better overall for their team. Both with the Ravens and Chiefs being viable Super Bowl contenders, definitely. So before we get into the video, if you do enjoy today's content, I ask that you consider smashing a like on the video and subscribing if you are new to the channel. I'm going to continue doing these type of rebuilds, not really rebuilds, simulations for this example, and maybe even some rebuilds in the future. Definitely not the Jets though, because I cannot stomach rebuilding this team. They're way too bad. Maybe when I get some more views and subscribers, I'll consider doing it. But in the meantime, I'm going to stick to the stuff I enjoy. But without further ado, let's jump into it. All right, the first matter of business that I need to do is to get rid of the starting running backs for each prospective team, because currently Damian Williams is still on the Chiefs lineup, even though he opted out due to COVID. So I will get rid of him for a 7th round pick from the Jets. That way the Jets can add more punting to their rotation. And then the second one that I can do is we can go to the Ravens and get rid of both Gus Williams as well as Mark Ingram III. Yes, I know this doesn't make it then very realistic, but it's a simulation. So was it really going to be realistic in the first place? Not really, right? And so with that being said, we're going to give up a couple 7th round picks for these two guys. That way we can completely clear the way for both J.K. Dobbins and Clyde-Edwards-Helaire respectively. One note I want to make, I ran this simulation earlier, and about halfway through the season, both the Ravens and the Chiefs decided that they didn't have good enough running backs, the guys they drafted in the 1st and 2nd round respectively. So they went to free agency and drafted Darius Geis and Devontae Freeman. So does that make sense? Yeah, not at all. But what I did is I took Devontae Freeman and Darius Geis and I added them to teams already. That way they cannot get picked up in the free agency, thus making and stymieing the two running backs rookie season. So we are good to go on that front. All right, it's time to start this simulation to see who has the better rookie season. Is it J.K. Dobbins? Is it Clyde-Edwards-Helaire? I'm not sure. I think my prediction is J.K. Dobbins might be in a better situation because the Ravens do like to run the ball a lot more than the Chiefs. That could potentially lead to Dobbins seeing a lot more carries and maybe even some targets out of the backfield. So I think Dobbins will take the cake in regards to having a better season. As for overall team, I think it's going to be close. I think both the Chiefs and Ravens are phenomenal, so I could see them both having great seasons. So that might be kind of a wash in that regard. So it will come down to who has the better statistical season, and at the end of it all, who gets potentially Rookie of the Year. It might not even be them. But without further ado, let's send to the midseason to see how they're doing. All right, at the midseason mark, it looks like J.K. Dobbins is not having a great start to his rookie career. 100 carries on 334 rushing yards, which is leading him to a whopping 3.2 yards per carry. He only has 1 touchdown in addition to that. It looks like he is struggling big time. Lamar Jackson's not even doing great with his rushing attempts. He only has 13 carries for 76 yards and 5.8 yards per carry, but there looks to be no rushing at all on this Ravens offense. And for passing, we can look at this. Lamar Jackson, 17-5. He's doing really well with that. Receiving wise, Hollywood Brown's doing great. So maybe they're just trying to focus more on passing and not rushing. So definitely a disappointing start to J.K. Dobbins' rookie season. Do I think they can rebound? Absolutely. This team runs crazy, and I wouldn't be surprised if he ends up way above the north side of 4 yards per carry in a couple more. All right, as for Clyde-Edwards-Helaire, it's not looking much better. He has 100 attempts, 100 carries for 325 yards and 3 yards per carry, but with 2 touchdowns, so he is definitely leading the charge in comparison to J.K. Dobbins in that regard. It looks like the Chiefs signed Rex Burkhead, again with the logic with this. Yeah, I understand that a 74 overall is maybe not viewed as the most amazing running back to have on your starting lineup, but it's also the rookie that you drafted in the first rounds. For holy crap sake, Madden, can we please have some better free agent and trading logic? Because you're taking away 80 carries from Clyde-Edwards-Helaire, where he could be having 200 right now and potentially having a better season. But nonetheless, right now it's pretty neck and neck between Clyde-Edwards-Helaire and J.K. Dobbins, both having really poor starts to their rookie season. Let's check out the records. All right, for the Chiefs, they're 5-3 currently, so they are definitely in position to make the playoffs. Not amazing, but 5-3. It's a tough division with the Chargers and the Chiefs, definitely. I'm a bit surprised the Chargers are actually up top with Tyrod Taylor leading the charge at quarterback, or it's potentially Justin Herbert. I'm not quite sure, but either way, the Chiefs are definitely in competition for a playoff berth. And is Clyde-Edwards-Helaire helping them? It doesn't look like it so far. All right, for the Ravens, this is a sight to see, definitely. 2-5 on the season so far, so by far and away, very far removed from a playoff contention. And it looks like J.K. Dobbins is impacting them, right? He's not playing well, which is kind of leading to them not probably having a great run game, and therefore making them potentially not be able to kind of control the pace of the offense throughout every single game. So therefore, 2-5 record, it's not looking good for the Ravens. As for the Jets, well, go figure. They are 1-7. Nobody saw that come. Everybody saw that coming, let's be honest. But this is interesting so far. It's a little bit disappointing with the overall ratings for the running backs. Maybe I need to bump them up a little bit more to make them more realistic when it comes to getting good outcomes that we're hoping for. But nonetheless, let's jump to the end of the season and see where our individual rookies lie as well as their teams. All right, the end of the season is here, and J.K. Dobbins did not have a great rookie season. With 245 attempts, carries for 878 yards, he only had 3.6 yards per carry and only 3 touchdowns. This is very interesting. Justice Hill was also given almost 100 attempts, 100 carries. It looked like the Ravens did not have a great rushing attack, and maybe that might lead them to definitely not making the playoffs. As for receiving, we can check that out for Dobbins if we want. He has 15 receptions on 193 yards, so way better of a receiving back than running back, it seems, at this time. He has equivalent touchdowns on way less touches in the passing game. So J.K. Dobbins, not the greatest running back for this simulation, but receiving back, kind of impressive. All right, Clyde-Edwards-Helaire, 251 carries for the whole season, 859 yards, so pretty comparable when it came to J.K. Dobbins and his rushing totals for the season. 3.4 yards per carry is pretty horrible, right? But he does have 11 touchdowns. So while he wasn't efficient with carrying the ball, he got the goal line work and definitely got a lot of touchdowns. So Clyde-Edwards-Helaire, more touchdowns, pretty even when it comes to rushing attempts and rushing yards and yards per carry, but it looks like he does have the advantage for touchdowns. As for receiving, we can see that he has 4 receptions for 51 yards and no touchdowns. So definitely in regards to passing game, J.K. Dobbins takes the cake. But as for rushing, it looks like Clyde-Edwards-Helaire had maybe a little bit more goal line work than J.K. Dobbins did. As for ending records for the season, the Ravens finished 7-9, not earning them a playoff berth. Very surprising, going from 14-2 from the previous season to now a 7-9 record. This was definitely a drop off for the Ravens. And now, is that because of J.K. Dobbins? Potentially. Maybe Mark Ingram, lacking of Mark Ingram, really hurt their rushing attack, and so therefore J.K. Dobbins was kind of a letdown for them this season. As for the Chiefs, they finished the season 11-4, good enough for clinching their own division and a playoff berth, skipping the wild card round. So it looks like Clyde-Edwards-Helaire, while he wasn't the most efficient in regards to rushing, he did get the goal line work and then got 11 touchdowns, and that might have pushed them over in many of games to get the wins and thus leading them to a playoff berth. All right, I just want to say this very quickly because I feel super embarrassed and almost disappointed in the Madden simulation. But somehow, way, shape, or form, the Jets finished 7-9 after they started off the season 1-7. So you're telling me they won 6 games straight? That's, man, I don't believe that. 6 games out of their last 8. So, and the Dolphins go 0-16. The Dolphins are actually that's a surprise for me. I thought the Dolphins would actually make some rumblings in this AFC East division, at least going maybe 4-12 or I don't know 6-10, but 0-16 for the Dolphins and 7-9 for the Jets. Nobody in the world in their right minds, not even a Jets fan, would expect them to go 7-9, but nonetheless they did. As for yearly awards, we have Drew Brees taking home the MVP of the league. No shocker there. The Saints are in a really good contention and great situation to have an amazing offense, especially with that division being very, very lacking on defense. As for Coach of the Year, we have Matt LaFleur. Interesting. I don't think the Packers will go 12-3-1 again this year. They really didn't bolster their offense at all, so I can't imagine them really looking that much better this year. As for the AFC, which is kind of what we're looking at here, Patty Mahomes takes home Offensive Player of the Year, which is fine and dandy, but we're looking at Offensive Rookie of the Year. And as for Offensive Rookie of the Year, once again, Justin Herbert trolls the whole NFL and wins Offensive Rookie of the Year. Yeah, didn't see that one coming. Not in the previous video and not in this one whatsoever. Clyde-Edwards-Helaire places 3rd and J.K. Dobbins places 4th. So, based off of that, who had the better season? It looks like Clyde-Edwards-Helaire just barely inched out J.K. Dobbins. Edwards-Helaire had maybe a little bit less rushing yards, but he had way more touchdowns. J.K. Dobbins had way more passing yards for the season, but at the end of the day, it looks like Clyde-Edwards-Helaire not only produced more for his team, but they actually made the playoffs. So, in conclusion, Clyde-Edwards-Helaire had the better rookie season than J.K. Dobbins. All right, as for ending season overalls, J.K. Dobbins went from a 75 to a 78. So he did progress, even though he didn't have an amazing season. So 78 overall is not too bad. Even with, it looks like morale's a little bit low, so he actually dropped. So potentially he'd be at a 79. So overall, for the first season, him going from a 75 to 78, it's not bad. He had a fine season. Do we have higher expectations for a second round running back? Absolutely. But overall, it looks like he still has a starting job in Baltimore. As for Clyde-Edwards-Helaire, he actually jumped from a 74 to a 78 and has maintained that. He looks to be on the upswing, and it looks like he's going to maintain that starting job in Kansas City. So they ended the season with the same overall. They started the season with just one lower overall for Clyde-Edwards-Helaire. All right, if you're wondering how far the playoffs went for the Chiefs, they actually made it to the divisional round, but they lost to the New England Patriots once again. It seems like the Chiefs cannot pass the Patriots when it comes to playoff competition. 40-34, very high scoring game. As for individual player stats, Patty and Cam balled out, but I want to look at the rushing and see how Clyde-Edwards-Helaire did, and he did not do horrible. 15 carries, 53 yards, 2 touchdowns, so very, again, efficient when it comes to scoring touchdowns, efficient when it comes to carrying the ball, not so much, right? Passing wise, did he have anything in the passing game? He had 1 reception for 7 yards. So not a horrible game for Clyde-Edwards-Helaire. Again, it's a passing team with the Kansas City Chiefs, so we can't expect too much from them. But nonetheless, the Chiefs got bounced in the divisional round. As for the Super Bowl, we can check that out here. It is actually the Buffalo Bills versus the Los Angeles Rams. Again, nobody sees these things coming except for Madden, apparently. But we'll simulate this to see who is our Super Bowl champion. And it is the Los Angeles Rams, 21-17. All right, that's all I have for this video. Again, if you enjoyed the content today, I ask that you consider smashing a like and subscribing if you are new to the channel. We just hit 10 subscribers, and if you enjoyed this simulation type video, I'm happy to make more of them, as well as potentially some rebuilds in the future. So with that being said, stay healthy, stay happy, have an amazing day. Take care, guys.
What we do here is go back. Loud.